Hi friends, it is Saturday, May 10th, and that means it is the opening day of Glacier Point Road to vehicles for the 2025 season. I can't wait to share the current conditions with you, so come join me. Glacier Point Road is in great condition, and there are a few areas where you can still see nice patches of snow along the side of the road at the higher elevations. The overlook views along this drive are stunning. Before reaching Glacier Point, I recommend a quick pit stop at Washburn Point. While this isn't quite as popular as Glacier Point, it's a beautiful place to enjoy a picnic and spectacular Yosemite wilderness views in the distance. You get more of a straight-on vantage point of both Nevada Fall and Vernal Fall at Washburn Point than you do at Glacier Point, and both waterfalls are just starting to peak for the year. You can see the water raging even from this distance. Another Washburn Point highlight is that you get a direct view of Illilouette Falls, and you can't see this waterfall from Glacier Point, so enjoy it here. While Washburn Point doesn't boast the crowds that Glacier Point does, it's still a pretty popular spot. So, as you stroll down the staircase to the viewing area, you should expect to share these stunning views with other hikers, families, photographers, and natural park enthusiasts. But it does have its quiet moments, and also a beautiful granite boulder that just so happens to be one of my favorite places to capture the unique and unobstructed view of Half Dome you enjoy at Washburn Point. In fact, I could enjoy this spot all day, but after soaking in the beautiful scenery, hop back in your car and continue on to the next famous Half Dome view. The Horseshoe Bend heading to Glacier Point always takes my breath away. Every time I see Half Dome open up here, I am filled with awe at how beautiful this place truly is. There's no stopping or parking here, but you can hike the short path from the Glacier Point parking lot that's actually the beginning of the hike to Sentinel Dome and Taft Point. Now, after just a few hundred yards, you can enjoy the small overlook area and a phenomenal view watching the clouds roll by. One of my favorite activities here has to be staying for sunset and then capturing light trails as cars drive by. Nate captured this image and it's one of my all-time favorites. Now for the star of the show, Glacier Point. Because this is such a popular park visitor stop, and of course with good reason, I think it's important to note that the drive into Glacier Point parking lot often gets a bit backed up in the busy summer days. So my personal advice is arrive early if you can. The parking lot was nearly full by noon on opening day. And don't wait for cars to leave as you start to enter the lot. There's actually an upper parking lot that often has at least a few open spots, so there's no need to hold up traffic waiting at the beginning of the parking lot for someone to leave. It's fun to see that there are a few great patches of snow in the parking lot area, but as soon as you start walking the path to Glacier Point, the walkway is completely free of snow. It's only a 300-yard paved trail from the parking lot to Glacier Point, and the stunning views open up almost immediately as you set out. One of the first spots you'll come across is the Glacier Point gift shop and snack stand, which was still closed on opening day. Then you can head over to the outdoor amphitheater, a wonderful place to relax and soak in the views. And at the far edge of the amphitheater are the trailheads for both the Panorama Trail and the Pohono Trail. These are strenuous hikes, but for the experienced hiker, they offer some unforgettable Yosemite sights. Now, back directly to the left of the stone amphitheater seats is another one of my favorite photography spots. A large pyramid-shaped boulder actually marks the spot of the old Glacier Point Hotel veranda. It's the only evidence left of this hotel that burned down in the 1960s, and what a view this spot offers. Then, I like to head to the Geology Hut. In 1925, the Yosemite Natural History Association built this Geology Hut as an observatory, and it is scheduled for reservations in the near future, but when it's accessible, I never get tired of the magnificent Half Dome views from here. Now it's time to walk over to the actual Glacier Point viewing area. It's important to note that the actual Glacier Point is off limits, so please don't cross the barriers disturbing vegetation to try and reach it. Instead, head down the far staircase where you get the grandest views. It really is impossible for me to properly capture the sights, but I'm happy to try and show you anyway. The famous Glacier Point juts out into the abyss, and then you can see Yosemite Falls in all its glory. The massive upper falls, the middle falls cascading, and finally the lower falls crashing into the valley below. You get incredible valley views here. You can see the Merced winding through the valley all the way over to Mirror Lake, and of course you can see Nevada and Vernal Fall crashing down, along with so many grand granite cliff tops, all on display from this one spectacular spot. It's not difficult to see why this continues to be one of the most beloved park destinations for visitors year after year. Watching the clouds roll in above Half Dome is absolutely mesmerizing. But because this is such a popular spot, you should expect that you'll be sharing these views with a lot of people. But I love seeing everyone enjoying the views almost as much as I love enjoying these views for myself. Before we wind down on today's adventures, let's also take a look at the conditions of a few more spots along Glacier Point Road. On opening day of this road, the Sentinel and Taft Point parking lots were completely full before noon, and you could see significant patches of snow heading out on both of these trails. Also, the trailhead at McGurk Meadow parking lot shows significant signs of snow, and I didn't head out on this trail, but I could see the muddy conditions from the roadside. Summit Meadow will be filled with wildflowers this summer, but currently the snow is still melting and you can hear a beautiful symphony created by the frogs. The meadow itself is off limits to protect the natural habitat, but this is still a beautiful spot to view from behind the wooden fencing. And before we finish today's adventure, I want to mention that Saturday, May 10th marked the opening of the Mariposa Grove of Giant Sequoias shuttle system for the 2025 season. So you can now visit the towering giant sequoias by riding the free shuttle instead of having to hike 2 miles each way to and from the trailhead. I hope you've enjoyed this Glacier Point current conditions update. And as we end today's adventure, I do want to mention that if you're planning a summer trip, I have curated a Yosemite National Park travel guide itinerary on my website with my favorite hikes, hotels, dining, and so much more. I also want to remind you that there will be entrance reservation systems in place for visiting Yosemite this summer, and I have a dedicated blog post and a YouTube video covering this year's reservation system so you can plan your Yosemite trip like a pro. Thank you so much for joining me for opening day conditions of Glacier Point Road, and for more information, see my full blog post at flyingdawnmarie.com. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me out. And until next time, I hope you find adventure and encouragement wherever you go. Bye.